Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our spiritual discussion for tonight. And I am super excited about this wonderful topic, which is the first obstacle to peace. And so that's what we are going to be discussing tonight. Now, before we get into the full discussion, I will be sharing this out. If you guys want to do the same, you are more than welcome to. Now, the thing I want to talk about with our spiritual discussion is, remember, it's a spiritual discussion. That means it is between myself and all of you. So if there's something that I say within, the time that I'm talking that triggers a question, that triggers something within you, that you're like, I wonder, go ahead and type in that question. Ask that question that is about our topic, because I can't bring clarity to something I don't know needs clarification. So I always encourage you to type in those questions. Even if it is on the replay, I will do my very best to get back to you as quickly as possible. So I want to say hello to everyone joining. Thanks for joining. Thanks for being here. Once again, I'm just sharing this out to all of my pages. And if you guys want to do the same, you are more than welcome to. So hello, hello, hello. Thanks for joining. Thanks for being here. And I'm about to start the sharing bonanza. It has been a long time, Miss Bridget, and I'm so glad that you are able to join me. Oh no, I can actually see your guys' comments on the screen today. So I won't have to use the laptop to look at your comments as I'm talking, because there's a big lag when you do that. So exciting. Hi, Angie. Thanks for joining. Thanks for being here. Thank you so much for sharing. I can see those people who are sharing it out. And for those that do, I thank you so very much. It means a lot to me to be able to do this and then have people share it out, like it, love it, so forth and so on. All right, so we are just, like I said, I'm just sharing this out, and that is what I am doing right now. And so, like I was saying, our spiritual discussion is all about the first obstacle to peace. And you may be thinking to yourself, there's obstacles to peace. Well, there really is no obstacle to peace. What there is, however, are obstacles that we make. We make a lot of obstacles to peace. We make a lot of obstacles to a lot of things. We just do. And so, like I said, this is a spiritual discussion. So I will be, presenting different talking points, topics, and I just invite you guys to go ahead and to miss your live streams. Well, now, at least you're here now, so that's the good thing, Bridget. So if there's a question based on the topic, and I want to make that very clear, if you have a question that rises from our topic, go ahead and put it in the comments. Ask that question. I'll be more than happy to answer it to the best of my ability, even if it is on the replay. And those of you that follow me on my ACIM support page, you know that I always get back to you on that page if you have a question. Regardless if, I've done the live at 8 o'clock and, I get back to you at least by noon. So, hi, Connie. Thanks for joining. Hi, Robin. Thanks for joining. All right, so like I said, I am just sharing this out to my groups here. There it is. All right, so when it comes to the obstacles to peace, I really want, like I said, I want this to be engaging for you guys. I don't just want it to be me sitting here talking for however long. I want it to really be engaging. So I am going to be asking you questions, and I would invite you to, of course, do your best to answer those questions, whatever you believe. There's no stupid answers. There's no bad answers. There is simply the answer that you feel. And if you don't know what it is, that's okay. No worries. Thank you, Bridget, so much for sharing. I appreciate it. So what I want to ask you, my first question to all of you to really start this going, is what is it? Now, there's one centralized idea that actually is the barrier to peace. Okay, the first barrier to peace. So what do you guys think that first barrier to peace is? What do you feel that it is for you even? What is it that you feel is your barrier to peace? Or what do you think is the general first barrier to peace? And I think you guys are going to be really surprised once I tell you what the Course in Miracles says it is. But I want to see what your answers are. So go ahead and put those in the comments as I continue just to share this out. So once again, the question that I'm posing to all of you is, what do you feel is your barrier to peace? All right, so Shirley says being present. Shirley, that's a great one. And that is definitely one of the biggest. Let me tell you, being present, 100%. All right. So thank you so much for your beautiful statement there, Shirley. And like I said, you're very much on point with that. Oops. Well, I guess I'll share it to my page too. To my personal page, because that's what just came up. All right, so we'll share it there too. Why not? All right. So once again, just put it up for yourself. Either what you feel it is or what you feel is just the generalized answer. And Shirley has already given us a beautiful answer. She says that she believes that it is being present. So what do you guys think is the barrier to peace, or your barrier to peace? And like I said, I'm just sharing this out, but I want to give you guys something to think about as I share this out. Hello, Heidi. I hope I said that right. Your name is super tiny on the screen there. All right. And there we go. So there we go. All shared out. Help others and get on and look out for others. Okay, that's beautiful, Bridget. Thank you so much for sharing. So that's one for Bridget. She feels that her barrier to peace is that she always wants to help others and get on and look for others to help. So that constant cycle of, really wanting to be of service, but to the detriment of your peace. So that is also a great one. And what the Course in Miracles actually tells us, the first barrier to peace is actually this: the desire to get rid of it. Now, I remember when I first read that, and I was like, what? I was like, no, I'm reading the Course because I want peace. I don't want to get rid of peace. But then this is where I had this beautiful revelation. So, and we've all had this if we really think about it. The reason that we actually want to get rid of peace, and it's actually one of the biggest reasons, even bigger than to be present, even bigger than wanting to help others. The reason that we actually want to get rid of peace, hey Cynthia, thanks for joining. So the reason that we actually want to get rid of peace, we call it the umbrella is separation, okay? But underneath that belief in separation is that the belief is that we actually believe peace is boring. That's what it really breaks down to. The reason that we want to get rid of peace, the reason the Course in Miracles says the first obstacle to peace is the desire to get rid of it, is because we actually think peace is boring. Because we have been kind of conditioned to believe that peace in and of itself means that we have reached a point where, nothing bothers us. Everything is just, fine and wonderful. And we think that's boring. We think we're not going to get any growth because we have been so conditioned that the only way that we spiritually grow is through suffering and pain and, all of those things. And we don't necessarily have to grow from suffering and pain. Now, those may be catalysts. Yes, those are catalysts, but it doesn't mean that peace, it means that that's it. Nothing's going to happen. I like to look at peace as I am able to look at my, my shadows, my triggers, whatever you want to call them. I'm able to look at them and not react to them, but instead respond to them. And wouldn't that just think about that for a moment. Like, let's say something really triggers you. Maybe someone chewing too loud. Maybe it's a certain word. Maybe it's a way someone acts. And instead of reacting to it, maybe out of anger because you believe that that's going to protect you, maybe out of frustration because you're just not quite sure how to deal with it. What if instead you were just calm, you were peaceful, and you were able to respond to it? Wouldn't that just be so much better? Like, wouldn't that just feel so much better? Hey, Karen, thanks for joining. Thanks for being here. So we think that peace is boring and that's it. All we're going to do is sit on a cloud all day and, just be apathetic and just be like, oh, nothing bothers me. I am peaceful. Peace doesn't mean that to me. What peace means to me is that you are happy, you are joyful, you are in that flow state, and you are just feeling wonderful and fantastic. And you feel that way for eternity. Now, once again, here comes, that lower mind, that ego mind, the separate mind that says, well, happiness is great, but to be happy for eternity, I need some contrast. Why do you need some contrast for? Why can't we don't even know right now how happy and joyful we could really be. We have no idea. We have not a clue how happy and joyful we could be and how that would feel to be happy and joyful every single second of the day. And here's the other reason that we want to get rid of peace is because, once again, because of old conditioning. Well, it can only be happy for so long. When is the other shoe going to drop? When's the shit going to hit the fan? Because I can't be happy for this long. Right? Why can't we be happy? Why can't you experience a life of joy, happiness, and flow? Why? Well, once again, it is that desire to say, well, that's boring. I need some drama. I need something bad to happen. You don't need something bad to happen to grow spiritually or anything like that. What we need to do is just realize that there is other ways of growing spiritually. We don't have to just grow through pain. Yes, does the catalyst of suffering oftentimes lead to spiritual growth? Yes. But that was the catalyst. It doesn't mean you continuously need it. That's the thing. And that's really where a lot of us get stuck. I know that's where I got stuck for a while, was believing that I had to keep on having this catalyst to propel me to shift, propel me to change, instead of just saying, you know what? Like, now I realize I don't need a catalyst. If a thought arises that isn't peaceful, I know what to do with it. I know how to deal with it now, instead of being like, oh my God, and having one of those panics. Okay, great. There's a thought. It comes up. Let it come up. Let it rise. So, when it comes to peace, there's another big one it's the same barrier. It's just underneath that umbrella of separation, which is unworthiness. Okay? Unworthy of feeling peaceful or unworthy of having peace. Now, why would we be unworthy of having peace? Well, the very simple yet kind of long answer starts with the idea of separation. Now, for those of you who have never heard of A Course in Miracles and those of you who don't know anything about it, basic overview is it is a channeled text. It was channeled by Helen Schuckman. She heard a voice and it said, this is A Course in Miracles. And it gave her the whole dictation for it. It is broken up into 3 different sections. The first section is the metaphysical understanding. So that is just the text. Then comes the crux of the course, which is what I practice on my ACIM support page, which is the lessons, the workbook for students. Then the third one is the manual for teachers, which is a clarification of terms, okay, and just different terms that the course uses. And then there is also the song of prayer, and there's other supplementary material. But the core of the course is the text, the workbook, and the manual. Now, if we look at the course, it kind of gives us an overview of how the world was made. Now, once again, I'm not discounting any other spiritual ways of thinking that the world was made. I'm not saying that this is the only way. This is just something that really resonates and makes sense to me. So that's how I'm going to explain it to you. So when it comes to the world, we were all one. One big ball of joy, happiness, and oneness. That's what we were. Okay? And then from this big ball of happiness, joy, and oneness, we, meaning the collective Son of God, if you will, had a thought. What would it be like if I was separate from God? Or what would it be like if I was separate from Source? What would it be like if I was separate from the love that is? Now, instead of laughing at that and saying, that's silly and impossible, we actually started to play that game of make-believe. Well, then what happened was we got really scared. And we were like, oh my God, like, whoa, this is crazy that I'm playing this game. Oh no, Source, God, whatever you want to call it, is going to be really, really mad at me. And then this little voice came out of the darkness, if you will. Hey, I got this place. And you don't have to worry about Source finding you, God finding you, because here's what we're going to do. We're going to create these things. We're going to make these things called bodies. We're going to make animal bodies. We're going to make plant bodies. We're going to make human bodies. We're going to make celestial bodies. And oh my gosh, get this. We're going to make it different shapes, sizes, and colors. And the divine's never going to find you. Source is never going to find you. It's not even allowed there. Because guess what? You get to play God. You get to play God. What? It said. And so, enticing us, getting us there and saying, oh, yeah, okay. All right. And so, feeling that guilt, feeling that shame. Oh, man, I need to hide. Ooh, I don't feel worthy. And so then, bing, bang, boom. And here's the planet. Here's 7 billion or 7 trillion people. And it's actually, that's what the ego did. It peopled the world. And yes, peopled is a verb in this sense. It peopled the world. And through peopling the world, it's only one divine essence in all of us. It's the same divine essence in all of us. That's it. It's the same thing. So that's what we have to remember. The body, the body may look different. I may be in a male body. You may be in a female body. I may be in, a body that's in the United States. You may be in a body that's in the United Kingdom. But once again, if you look at it, it's all this belief in separation. But really, I am the light talking to the light. That's it. I mean, if we look at it in the truth, I am the light talking to the light. Because you're the same light. I'm the same light. So really, it's light talking to light. And even though, it's just light talking to light, we don't see that. We don't recognize that. What we do instead is we just recognize those differences. And we see the cover of the book instead of the actual book. There's that song from the new Mary Poppins movie, "The cover is not the book." So open it up and take a look. So all of us have to be willing to look past the body to the truth that lies within each and every one of us, which is we are the light. You are the light, I am the light, and we're all the same brightness. We're all the same, magnitude of divinity. All of us, it's the same. No one has more, no one has less. Everyone has equal amount. And so this leads us back to our point about getting rid of peace. Well, a good majority of the time, like we talked about, we're all about conflict. We're all about, oh man, there's got to be this crazy conflict, and there's got to be this crazy conflict, right? And so what we have to realize is that in that belief of separation, hey Danielle, hey Noelle, so in that belief about separation, what we have to realize is something very, very important. And what that importance is we do not believe we are worthy of peace because we believe we gave it away. Because we believe we lost the opportunity to have it because we, believe in separation. The divine can't be mad at itself. That doesn't make any sense. Source can't be mad at source. Source is the all that is. That is, it's all that it is. It's all things. So it's not going to be mad at itself. And that's what we also have to remember. Source is not going to be mad at itself. So if we look at all of this, we see that the reason that we want to get rid of peace is, number one, we believe that peace is boring. Okay, so that's number one. We believe peace is boring. Number two, the reason that we want to get rid of peace is because we're always waiting for that other shoe to drop. Okay, things can be happy and joyful for like 5 minutes, and then shit has to hit the fan and, the world has to crumble. And then number three reason we want to get rid of peace is because we do not believe we are worthy of it. We believe that because we believe in separation, that we no longer can have sustainable peace. And, we believe that we actually are going to find something in this world that's going to bring us peace. Now, I smile at that because I did the same thing. I thought that the world was going to, someone or something in the world would bring me peace. But see, something really beautiful the Course says is that peace starts with you. You are its home. You are the home of peace. You can extend peace to all. Now, there's a big difference in giving peace, and then there's a big difference in giving it away. To give it is to know that you have it so that you can give it. To get rid of it is, I don't want this piece of shit. It's what getting rid of something is. I don't want this. No, take it and get it away from me. But to give it is, I have it so I can give it to you. I have it so I can give it to you. And you have it within you. I'm not really giving it to you. All I'm really doing is activating within you your own peace. That's already there. It's always been there, will always be there. It's never changed. It never could change. But all I'm really doing is just kind of activating that within you by giving you my peace. Now, there's something really beautiful the Course says here. It says, the first obstacle to peace that peace must flow across is the desire to get rid of it. For it cannot extend unless you keep it. You are the center from which it radiates outwards to call the others in. You are its home, its tranquil dwelling place from which it gently reaches out, but never leaving you. If you would make it homeless, how can it abide within the divine child of God? If it would spread across the whole of creation, it must begin with you, and from you reach out to everyone who calls and bring him rest by joining you. Why would you want peace homeless? Okay, how absolutely beautiful. Why would you want peace to be homeless? Peace is within you. Okay? You are the home of peace. You must give it a dwelling place because, in truth, you are the light in which it dwells. That's why you have to make it home. That is the home. If you think about it, it's saying, you are the home of peace. Well, how are you the home of peace? How could you be the home of peace? Well, because, and for those of you that follow me on my ACIM support page, our lesson 110, I am as God created me. Well, the divine created you in his likeness and image, right? Well, it doesn't mean that God looks like a human. It's not a big, man sitting in the sky with a big gray beard. But, God made, love made you loving. Kindness made you kind. Peace made you peaceful. And, that's what is so beautiful. Okay, so peace made you peaceful. Kindness made you kind. Joy made you joyful. Happiness made you happy. Freedom made you free. That's why you are the home of peace. It's so simple, but we don't see it that way all too often. We see ourselves not as the divine child. We see ourselves as a body. Well, I'm just a body, that's it. Or, this is a really popular one. I am a spiritual being having a human experience. Okay? Well, let's think about this. Okay, so you're a spiritual being having a human experience, but that means that you're two selves. That means you are the divine child of God, but you're also a body. But you can't have truth and illusion at the same time. So one of them is true, one of them isn't. So which one is true? Is the one that the divine created true, or the one you made true? Because remember what I said of that whole story about separation. The ego made the body. Now, spirit can use the body. Don't get me wrong. Spirit can use whatever the ego made for its own purposes. And same goes for ego. But that's what we really have to focus on here is, okay, so am I simply a body, or am I the light? And if I am the light, that means I'm the home of peace. And that means peace radiates from me to all those around me. Like, how beautiful is that? And the only reason that we want to get rid of it is because we believe that something in the world, either someone or something, will bring us that peace. We believe that we need something to instill peace within us. Nothing will instill peace in you in this world. It may give you a monochrome of peace. It may give you a second of peace. But the only thing that will give you sustainable peace is to remember what you are. That you are the light of the world. You are the light of the divine. And so instead of getting rid of your peace for the drama, and I mean, let's look at this right now. I'm not saying, and when I say these things, I am simply saying them from a spiritual perspective. And so, let's think about, well, where are we giving our peace? Where are we getting rid of our peace? Think about in your life right now. Where am I really playing into drama where I really don't need to? Like, where am I playing into that because I believe that peace will be boring? Is it with your kids? Is it with your job? Is it with the money situation? I mean, I know that's a big one for a lot of people. But you have to remember, if you are the light of the world, then that means the divine provides for you. Because, why? Infinite provisioning made sure you were provided for. Okay? So that's where we really have to look. Where am I giving my peace away? And when I say giving it away, I mean, where am I getting rid of it and saying, I'm more attracted? Because the next section of this is called the attraction to guilt. And you may be thinking, okay, Ron, I'm getting what you're saying about this peace. That sounds real good. But attraction to guilt, I want to get rid of the guilt. Exactly. But you have to look at, where are you projecting that guilt onto the world, onto other people, onto yourself? Because if you are the home of peace, that means you can't be the home of guilt as well. Okay? You can't be the home to two different opposing forces that will never see eye to eye. You are either the home of peace or the home of guilt. But we have such an attraction to guilt. Now, I'm going to ask the question, and you guys are free to answer however you wish. Why is it that you think we're so attracted to guilt? What attraction do you think guilt really has? And I think you'll be, for me, I was surprised when I thought about this. And then, of course, I read the section about the attraction to guilt. So I just want to see your guys' answers. Why do you think we are so attracted to guilt? To those emotions of, guilt and shame and blame. You know, those are the three egos' biggest shields: guilt, blame, and shame. That's okay, Shirley. I am so happy that, you know what? You just said, I don't know. I don't know why we're so attracted to it. I love that you were honest, because to say you don't know is really beautiful, because I didn't know either. I had no idea. I was like, I don't know. I was like, it sounds really weird to be attracted to guilt. But then, once again, it goes right back to the reason we are so attracted to guilt, blame, and shame is because we're trying to get rid of them. So we project them out into the world. And as long as we're projecting them out into the world, we're saying, well, it's the guilt's over there. It's in that person, it's in that thing, it's in that situation. But then if you're not projecting it out, then you're putting it back onto yourself, because the ego at its best is suspicious, and at its worst, it is vicious. And it will attack itself. It'll be like, you should have known better. You should have known better. Why did you do that? And what does it do it though? It does it from the past. It never does anything in the present moment. Everything that the ego ever made you feel guilty for, if you look at it, it's always about the past. And it always says, God, I wish I could change that. I wish I could change that. Honey, you can't change the past. It already happened. Nothing you can do about it. Can't change it. It is what it is. And so we have to realize that the reason that we have such an attraction to that guilt and blame and shame is because we're always trying to get rid of it. We're always trying to put it out into the world, as we believe we do not measure up to what we should be. That's beautiful, Karen. That's another wonderful reason why we definitely are attracted to guilt, blame, and shame, because we are trying to prove ourselves in a manner of speaking. You're absolutely right. That's another great answer of why we are so attracted to guilt. And also, it goes right back to that first point. Well, peace is nice, but, you know, it's not going to make me grow. Once again, you've never tried to grow peacefully. You've always tried to grow through the suffering or from the suffering. We have to really be willing to grow from peace, grow from joy, give it a try. I mean, the new moon is coming up. Why not set the intention? I want to grow from peace. I want to grow from joy. I want to grow in that way. I'm tired of growing from guilt. But before we get into that, let's think about this then. So, okay, I'm attracted to guilt because I believe peace is boring. So how do I fix that? Well, it's all really about forgiveness, being willing to forgive yourself. Probably say, I have no control at all. It all falls into self-worth. It does. It does fall into self-worth, and it does fall into that worthiness. So you see how that one umbrella of separation, I believe I am separate from, excuse me, I believe I am separate from my source. And so since I believe I am separate from my source, I now believe I am unworthy of love, unworthy of peace, unworthy of this, unworthy of that, because I have forgotten the truth of who I am. All breaks down to, from that one centralized idea. Can you believe one centralized idea of separation has so many different branches that go off that really block our peace? And this is just the first. This is the first block, but it's so easy to overcome, because we can either send out the dogs. I like to see guilt's messengers, because we have the opportunity to send out either messengers of love or messengers of peace. Messengers of peace or messengers of guilt. So which one do you want to start sending out? Because if you send out messengers of love, you're just going to see reflections of love. If you send out messengers of guilt, honey, believe you me, they're going to bring back every scrap of guilt that they can find. And they're going to just lay it at their master's feet. Now, it's really interesting. The master of guilt, the master of shame, the master of blame is fear. How interesting is that? Love is the guiding force of love, happiness. Hey, Brandy, what's up? Hi, everyone. For all of you that don't know, Brandy is actually a super duper old friend of our family. We have known her for years. And with Danielle, her husband actually came over and fixed our, what's that thing called? Air conditioner unit, because both of them are friends of my sister. So they're just here supporting, being wonderful people. So yeah, there's a little backstory for you. Anyway, so when it comes to all of this, you can either send out messengers of love or you can send out messengers of peace. And that is really where we want to go. And, that's really where it all stems from. Who do you want to send your messengers for? Do you want to send your messengers of fear, or do you want to send messengers of love? Yes, do I understand right now that the world seems insane and crazy? But remember, where is the world coming from? It's not coming at you, it's coming from you. So right now, if you are sitting in your home and you are in that fear, okay, let's realize something. Let's come into an awareness. Let's come to a realization that the fear is not necessarily happening to you. The fear is happening from you. Just like peace will radiate out from you, fear will do the exact same thing. What do you want to be a beacon of? A beacon of peace or a beacon of fear? Make the choice. That's all you have to do. You make the choice. Yes, I'm afraid right now, but I realize that my fear comes from the belief that I am separate. That's it. It comes from that one centralized belief. I believe I am separate. And since I believe that I am separate, that's why I'm in fear. Because I believe that, the divine that I have left the divine. That I have left the source of all that is. Which you couldn't. It's impossible. But we believe that we did. So you can either choose that or you can choose love. Your choice. So what I want to do now is, I know I've spoken for quite a bit and given you a lot to think about as of right now. But what I want to give to all of you is the opportunity to ask those questions now. And like I said, anything that I have said thus far, based on our topic, that has made you question, or maybe a question's come up, feel free to type that into the comments so that I can go ahead and do my best to clarify it for you. Because really what I believe that my gift is, that I give to people, is the gift of clarity, is the gift of peace. And so whenever I do these talks, I always want to make sure that I am being as clear as possible. So like I said, if a question has arisen, that's where we have to look at. How do I remember who I am? Remembering who you are is a great question, Karen. And what we have to do, the only thing that we can really do to remember the truth of who we are, is to remind ourselves and ask the divine for help in reminding us. Of course, there are beautiful affirmations and stuff like that. There's, of course, the course lessons that we've been practicing. I am as God created me. And, one of our course students, Miss Shirley, she has actually said that, throughout the day, she reminds herself, I am as God created me. And so then when we got to that section, she said, well, Ron, I already say that. So what I invited her to do was to say, I am as God created me. Love created me loving. Kindness created me kind. Light created me light. And remind yourself that way. Give yourself the conditions. Give yourself those conditions. This is the truth of who I am. Everything else is a lie I've told myself. Oh, well, I'm so glad, Danielle. I'm glad I was able to bring forth that message of peace. So that's how you can remember the truth of who you are, is by reminding yourself on a daily basis. It's not just one time. It's not just, 4 times. It's daily. I am as God created me, or I am as Source created me, or I am as Divine Compassion created me. Thanks, Brandy. That's what we have to remind ourselves of constantly, and give yourself the conditions. Tell yourself, this is how I was created. Everything else is a lie. And I know that, that sounds crazy. You're like, you're telling me that everything I've told myself for however many years is wrong? Yes. And it's not wrong, it's a misperception of the truth. That's all it is. It's a misperception. You are welcome. So let's go back and let's do a little bit of a review, because I always like to do these reviews of some of the reasons why we want to get rid of peace. And remember, this is just the first obstacle to peace. So the first reason we want to get rid of peace is because we believe it's boring. We believe that we will not grow from it. The second reason is because we believe we are unworthy of it. The third reason is because we believe that we can't be sustainably peaceful or happy for any amount of time, because the shit's always going to hit the fan. Oh, I can be happy for 5 seconds and then bad, terrible things are going to happen. Not necessarily. I mean, think about when, everything is going great and wonderful, and then something bad happens, or you perceive something to disturb you. The only reason that it has disturbed you is because you have given it the power to do so. Nothing in the world has power unless you give it power. Nothing in the world has power unless you give it power. What are you giving power to that does not need it? What can you take the power away from and put it into instead? The one thing with the Course is it basically tells you that you have to remember that you're in charge of your peace. Now, the divine is there to guide you. The divine is there to help you. But the Course really puts the power back in your hands. So that's what we have to, remember with all of this. This is not just, oh, I'm going to, boo-doo-doo-doo-doo, done. No, this is something we got to practice that. So, like I said, those are just some of the reasons why that we, want to get rid of peace. Hi, Amelia. Hi, Gunner. I'm glad you're watching with Mommy. And hi, Tingle, if you're there. That's her husband. His name is actually Robert, but we just all call him by his last name. So, anyway, continuing on. But, nothing can disturb your peace. Nothing at all. Unless you give it the power to do so. So, like I said, what are you giving your power away to? What are you giving your power away to? Are you giving it away to the fact that your routine has been interrupted? Okay. We're adaptable creatures. We're flexible. We can be flexible if we allow ourselves to be. We have to be willing. All it takes is a little willingness. Not a lot, just a little bit. So, yeah, but that's just the first obstacle to peace. We have to realize that peace is something that we actually want. And we want to keep. So that's really what's key. I want peace and I want to keep my peace. So no matter what is going on in the world, I'm going to be willing to look at it. Of course, I am not someone who's going to say cover it with pink fondant, sprinkles, and rainbows. Nope. And I'm not telling you to look at it through rose-colored sunglasses either. You look at what you are fearing or what is disturbing your peace. Realize that it is not happening to you, but it is happening from you. It is a projection of your thought. And as you see that, be willing to forgive it and be willing to take that step back. I remember when I first started this spiritual business, there was so much guilt. I was so attracted to guilt. Oh God, I can't even tell you. It was, because I felt bad because number one, I had worked for a company from the age of 18 to the age of 30. Okay? I had someone, here's the service that you are rendering, here's your paycheck. And my parents did the exact same thing. Then when I quit that job to start doing this, it was completely different. And there were days where I wouldn't have any clients. And then I would feel bad. I would feel guilty. And I would say, oh my God, I'm a terrible person. I'm a terrible son. I'm not supporting my family because, they're both my parents are at work. My sister's at school. And, excuse me. And I'm just sitting here. And I'm not doing anything. And I remember one day, and I will never forget it. It was the perfect example of the projection of guilt. So I didn't have any clients that day, and my guilt was it was a heavy curtain. Oh God, it was so heavy. And I remember sitting on my bed and thinking to myself, this is all I do all day. I just sit on my bed all day. I'm worthless. I'm a terrible person. And then I was like, no, forget that. Oh, well, don't you worry. My ego had other plans because my sister comes home. She opens the door. She goes, what do you do all day? Just sit on your bed? That must be nice. Some of us are actually doing things. And I was like, oh God, every part of me wanted to jump up and just be like, who the hell do you think you are? You are 15 years old. You are nothing. But I was like, no, you need to just hold on. So I had to take that breath. I had to breathe real deep, take a couple of big deep breaths. And I had to realize, oh my God, all she did was say exactly what I had just said in my head. She did. She said exactly what was in my own head. Because the ego will use whoever is in fear to project back that fear to you. It'll use anyone in fear as its mouthpiece. And that's exactly what it did. It used her as the mouthpiece. And believe you me, I fell for that hook, line, and sinker. But I had to then take that step back and be willing to forgive and be willing to let that go and say, okay, why did I let that disturb my peace? What is disturbing my peace? Why am I so attracted to this guilt? Why do I want to hang on to it? Why do I believe I need the guilt? Well, because I need to feel guilty because I should be doing more and I'm not doing more, so I need to feel terrible and awful because somehow that's going to make something better. Wrong. That's not going to help anything. All that's going to do is continue to show me the same thing over and over and over again. Guilt's not fun. You don't need guilt. As soon as guilt arises, you need to realize right then, right there, okay, what is this guilt going to do for me? What is it doing? Yes, you recognize it. Yes, you see it. Yes, you realize, okay, maybe I did something wrong. And if you did, apologize. Like, it's very simple. Apologize. Your ego's going to tell you it's real hard. It's not hard to apologize. Not at all. And so that's all we have to do. But you have to recognize, I believe that I need this guilt because if I feel guilty enough, the suffering of others will be negated. Wrong, it will not. It will not. Mom guilt strong over here. And Brandy, I am so glad that you brought that up because I think that is the strongest one, is the guilt of a mother. Because a mother believes, once again, they have built a concept of themselves as the caregiver, the nurturer, the provider. And when they believe they are not doing those things that they have ascribed to themselves as their function, you feel guilty. You feel bad. But the only reason you feel bad and guilty is because you believe that you are not doing the function that you ascribe to yourself. But once again, who told you that's what a mother had to be? Who told you that's what the function had to be? You have no idea what you may be providing to someone or to your children in any way, shape, or form. You may be providing them with such a service that you don't even realize. So do not feel guilty. Do not feel bad. Instead, look at that feeling. Okay, why do I feel this way? What is coming up for me? Okay, well, this is what's coming up for me. This is how I feel about it. These are the feelings, okay? Then from the feelings, go down to the thoughts. Okay, well, what thoughts are producing those feelings? Because that's really key to understand. Your emotions don't just come out of nowhere. They come from the thoughts that you're thinking. Then from the thoughts that you're thinking, what is the belief that is creating those thoughts? This is the template of mind. Okay, so it starts, from the center, which is a desire. Then from the desire, it goes to a belief. From the belief, it goes to a thought. From the thought, it goes to emotion. From emotion, it goes to perception. That means what we see. And so what we have to remember is that, okay, what are the thoughts that are coming up and are they true? You have to ask yourself, are these really true thoughts? Like, am I a bad mom? Well, we have to think about that. Am I providing for my children? Yeah, they have food to eat every day. Am I giving them an education? I'm doing the best I can with the tools that I have available. So, yeah. Am I providing them safety and security? Yeah, they have a home. Yes, they get to live there and they are safe. And, just looking at all of those things that you are saying that you believe you need to feel guilt for. So, and of course, Brandy, if you wish, you know my number. You can call me after this if you'd like to continue with that discussion. See, that's one of the perks, guys, of having basically, she's the other half of my sister's brain. And so since being the other half of my sister's brain, she automatically just, she has access to all of this. But yeah, so that's something else you guys can look at when it comes to the attraction for guilt. We blame ourselves when our children turn out to have problems as adults, like addiction. Yes, because you believe once again that it is you that made that happen. You did not make that happen. What happened was they made a choice. That was their choice. You cannot stop their free will decision. You did what you thought was right in those moments, and you cannot do anything else. And to blame yourself for another's choice is once again to just stay in the parade or on the merry-go-round of guilt. Why would you want to stay there? I wouldn't want to stay there. I was on the merry-go-round of guilt for like 4 months. It was terrible. It was awful, and I hated every second of it. Until I made the choice, I have nothing to feel guilty or bad about. And then what do you know? The moment that I stopped feeling that guilt is something beautiful happened. Clients started to come in because I let go of the guilt. I let go of I'm not good enough. I can't do this. I don't know how to do this. I let go of that. Yes, every choice does have a consequence, and the beauty of that consequence is the beauty of the choice, not the beauty of the consequence. The beauty of the choice is that you have the ability to choose again. That's it. I mean, think about that. You have the ability to choose again. So if we come back to our central point of that, the reason we want to get rid of peace is because we are attracted to guilt, because we believe guilt is going to have something for us. You can never feel guilty enough. You can never suffer enough to abate the suffering of another being. Ever. Ever. You could be in guilt all the rest of your life, and that would never abate the suffering of another being. It will never help them. Ever. It's not going to help. And I know that sounds very brash and just very to the point, but that's the truth. And so that's why we have to say, okay, I don't want to, number one, be in this guilt, because in this guilt, I'm seeing them with the problem. I'm seeing myself as the producer of the problem. Instead, I want to take that step back. I want to come back to peace, and in the peaceful perception, that is what I wish to see. I wish to see peace, because if we send out messengers of peace, we will receive messengers of peace. But if we send out messengers of guilt, we will receive back messages of guilt. Always something key to think about. Always something key. Which messenger are you sending out on a daily basis? Are you sending out a messenger of guilt, or are you sending out a messenger of peace? And some of these things are not even conscious. So that's why we have to bring it up to consciousness. That's why I have these spiritual discussions, to help you guys bring this stuff up to consciousness so you can actually look at it, so you don't have to feel, the guilt, the blame, the shame. Yes, you feel it. Yes, you acknowledge it, but now you don't have to stay in it, because that's never what anyone wants. The divine doesn't want you to be in guilt or shame or blame. It wants you to be happy. That's your function, to be happy. That's it. To be happy. Period. Oh, guys, I love these spiritual discussions. They just make me so excited about talking about this stuff. And like I said, I hope this is bringing to you, a beautiful message, whatever that message may be, whenever that message may be. So I thank you all so much for joining me. I thank you all so much for being here. Once again, questions, comments, or concerns that may come up, put it in the comments. I will do my very best to get back to you as soon as possible. If you are interested in having a session with me, either a miracle mindset call or just a reading, please feel free to visit my website, awakeningmiracles.org. Once again, that's awakeningmiracles.org.